The final DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet finally dropped, and I am super excited to jump into this. Within a 24-hour period, I have some goals I want to reach. I want to beat the entire DLC story, I want to complete the Pokédex, and I want to catch a shiny starter. There is quite a bit that this DLC has to offer, so let's check it out. We get a call from Clavel and we meet Cyrano, the director of the Blueberry Academy, and we are invited to be an exchange student. So we accept and make our way there. We meet Lacy, who is one of the Elite Four members here, and she challenges us to a fight. She sends out Plusle and Minun, and I bring out Charizard and the shiny god of space. Palkia takes out Minun with an Earth Power, and Charizard uses Dragon Pulse on Plusle, doing more than half damage. Lacy then brings out Excadrill, who goes down to Palkia's Aqua Tail. Charizard misses a Fire Blast, so Palkia has to come in and pick up for the win. If you haven't noticed, the fights here will be double battles. The Elite Four and Champion will be using VGC strategies, and it can be pretty difficult. After the wonderful showing of the terrarium, we are set free and it's time to start filling up that Pokédex. I went absolutely nuts in the Savannah biome and caught me a Doduo, Execute, a Cantonian Tauros, Trapinch, Dodrio, Vibrava, Smeargle, I cannot wait to see this guy used in VGC, Blitzel, and Executor. I then crossed into the coastal biome and snagged me a Tentacool, a Tentacruel, Inkay, Trumbeak, Pick-a-Peck, Esper, Meowstic, Comfey, and Vibrava evolved into Flygon. And then we attended a class and the teacher wanted us to catch an Alolan Pokemon, so we went and caught an Alolan Grimer, Alolan Muck, Alolan Executor, it was awesome seeing this one back, Toucannon, Oddish, Cottony, Gloom, and Vileplume. Completely ignoring the assignment, I hopped into the polar biome and caught a Horsey, Porygon, Dugong, Solosis, Seal, Snubble, Milcery. I spun and evolved Milcery into Alcremie, Cinccino, Quillfish, Golett, Beldum, Duraludon, Horsey evolved into Seadra, and Golurk. I needed a little break and headed back to the coastal biome to finish the class up. Once completed, I get a call from Carmine to meet her in the center of all the biomes. I completely ignore that and end up fighting a raid den for Plusle, who I promptly defeated and captured. I make my way to Carmine and catch Aquanid, Dewpider, and Minior on the way. She challenges us and sends out Mightyena and Toucannon, and I send out Iron Hands and Gallade. Mightyena's Intimidate procs and our attacks are lowered. Toucannon charges up Beak Break and Gallade Brick Breaks Mightyena, taking him down, and Iron Hands Wild charges Toucannon and takes him out as well, but getting burned in the process because of Beak Blast. Carmine then sends out Scrafty and Sinistcha, and Scrafty intimidates, lowers the attacks of my Pokemon again, and Iron Hands is already super weak because of the burn. Carmine tears Sinistcha into the Grass type, and Gallade Brick breaks Scrafty for more than half HP. Iron Hand finishes off Scrafty with a Drain Punch. Gallade uses Psycho Cut, dealing a fifth of damage, and Iron Hand uses Drain Punch to drop Sinistcha's HP to about half. Another turn, and Sinistcha is at 1 HP, but goes down to the next turn, finishing the fight. We learn Kieran went complete bully mode and is the champion. Then we meet my personal favorite character, Drayton, who is one of the Elite Four members. We are then taken to the League Club Room and learn about Blueberry quests and the points associated with them and how to upgrade the room using the computer. Once that was completed, I head to the cafeteria to meet all the Elite Four members and see Kieran for the first time since Kitakami. I get some backlash trying to join in the league fights since I'm an exchange student, but Kieran allows me in because he wants to take me on. After that bit of story, I take some time to change my hairdo to the Pokeball fade, nice, and time for some more catching. I caught Alolan Graveler, an Alolan Geodude, Tyrogue, Scraggy, Cranidos, Chinchou, Electabuzz, Elekid, Drillbur, Alolan Vulpix, Granbull, Minccino, Minun, and Tyrogue evolved into Hitmonlee, Excadrill, Joltik, Galvantula, Ranunculus, Duosion, Lapras, Rhyhorn, Rhydon, Magmar, and Magby. Now it was time to take on the Elite Four and the champion. We head to Amarys first and take on her trial, which was flying around on Koraidon through rings, which is pretty neat. Time for a fight. Amarys sends out Skarmory and Alolan Dugtrio, and I send out Iron Hands and Chansey. I tear Iron Hands and Chansey uses Helping Hand, and Dugtrio uses Earthquake, and it doesn't affect its partner and hits my team for a little damage. Then Skarmory uses Body Press on Chansey, taking her down to half health. Then Iron Hand uses Drain Punch on Dugtrio, almost taking it out, but it hung on with a Focus Sash. Dugtrio uses Earthquake again, doing decent damage, and Skarmory sets up Stealth Rock. Predicting Skarmory's sturdy ability, I skill swapped Chansey with Skarmory and gave him Serene Grace. Iron Hands then proceeds to take out Dugtrio, and Ranunculus is sent out and puts up Protect, and Skarmory uses Body Press on Chansey, almost taking her out. Chansey sets up a Light Screen, and Iron Hand Drain Punches Skarmory, almost taking it out. Chansey uses Helping Hand with Iron Hands before being taken out by Skarmory's Body Press. Iron Hands then takes out Skarmory, and Ranunculus uses Psychic on Iron Hands for a good bit of damage. Amarys sends out Scizor, and I send out Charizard, who took big damage from the Stealth Rock. Charizard hits Ranunculus with a Fire Blast, and Scizor hits Iron Hands with an Aerial Ace, doing big damage. Iron Hands then takes out Scizor with Drain Punch, and Ranunculus sets up Trick Room as Empoleon is sent out. Ranunculus uses Psychic on Iron Hands, but he dodged because love mechanics, and Iron Hands takes out Empoleon with Drain Punch. Charizard tries to take out Ranunculus with Dragon Pulse, but it just wasn't enough, and Ranunculus heals a little bit with leftovers. Amarys' final Pokemon Metagross is sent out and tears into the Steel typing. Ranunculus protects, and Iron Hands takes out Metagross with a Drain Punch. Charizard's Dragon Pulse was blocked by Protect, and Ranunculus goes down to Drain Punch the next turn, ending the fight. The next Elite Four member is Crispin, whose challenge is to make a spicy sandwich, but I have to gather ingredients from people in the area. After completing that, it's time to fight. He starts off with Talonflame and Rotom Fire. I send out Grimmsnarl and Iron Hands. For the first turn, I set up Light Screen with Grimmsnarl, and he takes a Brave Bird from Talonflame. Rotom uses Will-O-Wisp on Grimmsnarl, thankfully, instead of Iron Hands for a burn. And then Iron Hands Wild Charges, taking out Talonflame. Executor is sent out, and Rotom Will-O-Wisp Iron Hands, unfortunately burning him. Grimmsnarl uses Spirit Break on Executor, and Iron Hands crits a Drain Punch on Rotom. Executor starts setting up a Solar Beam, and Rotom uses Hex on Iron Hands for a little bit of damage. Grimmsnarl Spirit Breaks Executor again for good damage and bringing down its special attack. Executor eats a Citrus Berry, healing it for a bit of HP, and Iron Hands uses Drain Punch on Rotom, bringing it down. Executor launches the Solar Beam at Iron Hands, not doing that much damage because of the weakened special attack. Camerupt is sent out, and Grimmsnarl hits Executor again with Spirit Break. Camerupt almost goes down to a crit Drain Punch. Executor Leech Seeds Grimmsnarl, and Camerupt hits both with Heat Wave. Both Executor and Camerupt go down in the next turn. The last two Pokemon, Blaziken and Magmortar, come out. Blaziken tears to Fire, and Iron Hands tears to Fighting, and Grimmsnarl pops a Reflect to weaken physical moves. Magmortar nearly takes out Iron Hands with Psychic, and Blaziken uses Temper Flare on Grimmsnarl, doing some good damage, but was weakened thanks to Reflect. Iron Hands hits Magmortar with Drain Punch, almost taking it out, and Grimmsnarl pops a Light Screen next turn to try and help against the next Psychic, and gets hit with Temper Flare, but survives because love mechanics. Magmortar instead sets up a Sunny Day and is dropped by Drain Punch. Grimmsnarl is taken out by Leech Seed the Executor laid out earlier, and Charizard is sent out. Blaziken uses Stone Edge, nearly exploding Charizard and dealing a Dragon Pulse back in return. Blaziken is finally taken out with a Drain Punch, ending the fight. Next in the entourage of fights is Lacy, and her trial is all about Pokemon questions. So clearing that, her fight starts. She sends out Granbull and Whimsicott, and I send out Lucario and Grimmsnarl. Granbull's Intimidate tries to drop Lucario's attack, but Inner Focus stopped the stat drop. And Whimsicott pulls up a Light Screen, and Grimmsnarl puts up a Reflect at the start of the turn. Lucario used Meteor Mash on Whimsicott, nearly taking it out due to Focus Sash. The Whimsicott should have the ability Prankster, which boosts the priority of status moves by 1, making it an amazing support Pokemon. Lucario ended up getting an attack boost from the move. Granbull uses Play Rough on Grimmsnarl, doing big damage. Whimsicott uses Tailwind to give his team a speed boost. Lucario Meteor Mashes Granbull, taking him down, and Grimmsnarl uses Spirit Break to take down Whimsicott. Primarina and Galarian Slowbro is sent out next, and Grimmsnarl sets up Light Screen, and Lucario takes out Primarina with Meteor Mash, gaining another attack boost. Slowbro uses Flamethrower on Lucario, dealing a bit of damage. Alchemy is sent out next, and Meteor Mash takes her out as well. Slowbro takes a Spirit Break, lowering its special attack, and he attacks Lucario with a Flamethrower for some more damage. Excadrill is sent out and Tauros to Fairy, then Slowbro uses Flamethrower on Lucario again. Excadrill high horsepowers Lucario, taking him out. Grimmsnarl lowers Slowbro's special attack with Spirit Break again before Charizard comes out. Grimmsnarl sets up another Reflect and then gets hit with Excadrill's Terra Blast, barely surviving. Slowbro is almost taken out by Charizard's Fire Blast, and he also heals with a Citrus Berry. Slowbro takes out Grimmsnarl with Side Shell Arm, and Iron Hands comes out. Slowbro's Quick Draw lets him go first, and he Psychics Iron Hands, who dodges because love mechanics. Excadrill Rock Tombs Charizard for half HP and lowering his speed, and Charizard Dragon Pulse takes out Slowbro, and Wild Charge takes out Excadrill, finishing the fight. The final Elite Four member is upon us, that being Drayton. He has the coolest trial by only allowing you to use Pokemon that have been caught in the terrarium to be used for the 3 trainers in your way. But once that is completed, Drayton is ready for a fight. He sends out Flygon and Dragonite, and I send out Lucario and Grimmsnarl. Dragonite opens with extreme speed on Grimmsnarl, doing little damage, and Grimmsnarl sets up Reflect. Lucario nearly takes out Flygon with a Dragon Pulse, and he retaliates with an Earthquake, almost taking out Lucario. Flygon lost some HP after that hit, letting me know he's holding a Life Orb. Life Orb will let the move deal more damage while the user takes some damage in return. Lucario hits Dragonite with a Dragon Pulse for roughly a fifth of its health. Flygon uses Earthquake again and takes out Lucario and leaves Grimmsnarl with less than half HP. Flygon goes down due to Life Orb, and Grimmsnarl hits Dragonite with Spirit Break, almost taking him out. Dragonite retaliates with Thunder Punch, not doing much damage. I send out Iron Hands, and Drayton sends out Haxorus. Iron Hands Terras, and Haxorus hits Grimmsnarl with Iron Head, taking him out, and Dragonite hits Iron Hands with Ice Spinner, doing little damage. Iron Hands hits Haxorus with a Drain Punch, and Haxorus survives with its Focus Sash. Super annoying. I send out Charizard to fill in the spot. Haxorus uses Breaking Swipe to get some damage and an attack drop in. Dragonite goes down to a Dragon Pulse, and Haxorus to a Drain Punch. Sceptile and Kingdra are sent in to replace the two. Charizard takes out Sceptile with a Fire Blast, and Iron Hands is hit with Kingdra's Hurricane, doing some good damage. A Drain Punch from Iron Hands nearly takes out Kingdra, and Archaludon comes out as the final Pokemon. Archaludon Terras to the Dragon type, and a Dragon Pulse from Charizard takes out Kingdra. Archaludon uses Electro Shot and starts charging up energy, and Iron Hands uses Drain Punch on Archaludon, and it knocks him down to past half HP. Charizard hits Archaludon with a Fire Blast, leaving him in the red. Archaludon knocks out Charizard by releasing the Electro Shot, but is then taken down by an Iron Hands, ending the fight. Now it's time to finish up with Kieran the champion. Being absolutely full of himself, he sends out Politoed and Dragonite. I send out Lucario and Grimmsnarl. Politoed is normally seen in a Rain Dance team, and that shows with the ability Drizzle, causing rain to fall. I had Grimmsnarl set up Reflect, and Lucario used Dragon Pulse on Dragonite, doing little damage. Politoed hits Grimmsnarl with Weather Ball, doing about a fourth the damage. Grimmsnarl is hit with Hurricane from Dragonite, doing some more damage to him. If I'm not mistaken, Hurricane should hit 100% of the time in the rain, making this a very dangerous duo. Grimmsnarl gets a Light Screen up to help with that damage, and Lucario uses Dragon Pulse on Dragonite for a bigger chunk of damage. Another Weather Ball to Grimmsnarl starts to get his HP low. Dragonite uses Hurricane on Lucario this time, doing almost half HP. Politoed uses Helping Hand on Dragonite, but it doesn't matter because Lucario takes him out. Grimmsnarl then hits Politoed with a Spirit Break, doing more damage and lowering the special attack. Kieran's own Grimmsnarl comes out and nearly goes down to Lucario. I thought it was a Focus Sash, but it wasn't, and just survived on 1 HP. My Grimmsnarl uses Spirit Break on Politoed again, working on taking it out, and Politoed aimed the next Weather Ball at Lucario, starting to get him into the danger zone. Kieran's Grimmsnarl uses Spirit Break on my Grimmsnarl, taking him out. Lucario used Extreme Speed on Grimmsnarl, taking him out, and Politoed took out Lucario with a crit Weather Ball before going down to a Drain Punch. I send out Charizard, and Kieran sends out Porygon Z, and Incineroar, the VGC demon himself. His Intimidate drops both my Pokemon's attack before using Fake Out on Charizard, and Porygon Z uses Hyper Beam on Charizard, who dodges it fortunately. The Fake Out flinched Charizard and he couldn't attack, and Iron Hands drops Porygon Z with a Drain Punch. The final Pokemon, Hydrapple, is sent out and Terra's into the fighting type. Charizard tried to hit Hydrapple with a Hurricane but missed, and Incineroar goes down to Drain Punch. Hydrapple used Earth Power on Iron Hands, doing almost half HP in damage. Charizard gets off a Hurricane this time, almost taking out Hydrapple, but the Drain Punch finishes the final fight. Kieran starts having a breakdown, and Drayton comes by and twists the knife by saying ex-champion. He is so awesome. Now for the post-story, I talked to Briar about some mystery in Area 0, and Geeta and Rika show up to talk about it. I get scolded by Rika about going into Area 0, and then I get the Indigo disc from Geeta and make my way to Area 0. I put the disc in the console, and we are able to take the elevator down deeper than before. I take out some Terran Pokemon with the new Terra type, the Stellar Terra type, and make our way to where Terapagos is. The little gem gets pulled out and turns into a little turtle, and it heads my way, but Kieran was having none of that and throws a Master Ball at it and captures it. Now it's time for a battle against Terapagos. I send out Iron Hands, and Terapagos transforms into its battle form. Terapagos uses Earth Power on Iron Hands, doing decent damage, and takes a Drain Punch by switching its type. Iron Hands takes another Earth Power for some more damage and deals back a Wild Charge, doing big damage. I swap in Grimmsnarl, taking Earth Power in return, and Grimmsnarl takes another Earth Power before dealing a Spirit Break, nearly finishing off Terapagos. Taking one more Earth Power, a Spirit Break ends the fight. Kieran is told to Terra Terapagos, and when he does, it goes absolutely out of control. And Kieran tries to return Terapagos to the Master Ball, and it destroys it in the process. The next part, we have to take down Terapagos, and have to Terra to deal big damage on the shield like a raid about every 3 turns. This section took a while, but eventually the turtle goes down and we catch it for ourselves. And I put it in a moon ball. After the credits, I head to Amarys to allow Koraidon to fly, which is awesome. And I spent some time grinding to allow me to get the polar biome unlocked for Cyndaquil as my starter of choice for shiny hunting. On my way, I catch a Metang and save before eating a shiny fire sandwich. I spend 20 minutes here and not a single Cyndaquil showed up. I reload that save and changed my approach to an outbreak of Oshawotts. I eat myself a shiny water sandwich and start hunting. I spend roughly 2 hours here hunting, and even with a sandwich, my shiny luck was awful. I stop hunting and decide to fill up the Pokédex with some more Pokemon. I start catching a Galarian Slowpoke, Lantern, Whimsicott, Oshawott evolves into Dewott, Mandibuzz, Volibee, Alolan Diglett, Porygon 2 in a raid. I managed to find a shiny Magmy, awesome. I evolve Inkay into Malamar, Alolan Dugtrio, Scrafty, Tyrogue evolved into Hitmonchan, Skarmory, Metang evolved into Metagross, Scorbunny, Chimchar, Dewott evolved into Samurott, Scorbunny into Raboot, Raboot into Cinderace, Chimchar into Monferno, Monferno into Infernape, Piplup into Prinplup, Prinplup into Empoleon. I also catch a Hitmontop and a Galarian Slowking. Whew. Now I aim to do some trades and get Alolan Sandshrew, Shieldon, Alolan Golem, Rhyperior, Electivire, Magmortar, Porygon Z. I evolved Shieldon into Bastiodon and Sandshrew into Sandslash. I transfer the other starters from Pokemon Home into Scarlet and also Overquill and Cleavor. I trade for Kingdra and start evolving my starters. I did Perrin's quest to catch Gouging Fire and Raging Bolt, and I did not trust to touch trade for Iron Crown and Iron Boulder, so I played on my Violet until I caught them myself. This took roughly 4 hours to get to that point. I finished up evolving my starters and evolved Duraludon into Archaludon and my shiny Dipplin from my shiny only in the teal mask into Hydrapple, and then finally Slowpoke into Slowbro. This completes the Pokédex, but I'm missing one more Pokemon that is not in the Pokédex. I head to this spot and spin for roughly 20 seconds, face this yellow plant and pop up my camera and change to the sepia filter and turn around and boom, Meloetta. I loved this little method of finding her, and now she is part of my collection. I head and get the Mark Charm and Diploma for completing the Pokédex, and now to finish off with a shiny starter. I manipulate the outbreaks and get a Rowlet outbreak. I eat a Blueberry Special to get the shiny boost and make my way and start hunting. An hour and a half later, and I find this guy. I start weakening him, and I go to write the timestamp, and he was using Brave Bird, and I had no idea, so it ended up KOing itself with recoil. This freaking sucks, and I have to go back into hunting. Another hour, and I managed to find another shiny Rowlet and take no chances and capture it, finishing up this run. This DLC was so much fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. What do you think about the DLC? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear everyone's opinions. I am aware the performance is absolute garbage, but it didn't bother me nearly as much, and I enjoyed playing through and making these videos. Like this one of me running through the mainline game with only Kanto Pokemon. Give it a watch and let me know what you think. Well, until next time, see ya.